Two key quotes for Lady Macbeth's character and how she changes are, "A little water clears us of this deed," and "Out damn spot, will these hands never be clean." Pause this video now and on a piece of paper write down everything you know about these quotes. This will help to see if you need to revise them. Now you've written down everything you know about both quotes, let's double check. It's a good idea to add to your notes using a different colour pen to see what you already knew and what you need to focus on memorising to get better with these two quotes. Let's start with "A little water clears us of this deed." This quote is from the beginning of the play, Act 2, Scene 2 to be exact. This was said by Lady Macbeth after she returned from taking the daggers back to the king's room and smearing blood on his drugged guards to make them look guilty. Number 1. Lady Macbeth is literally suggesting that washing their hands will remove the physical evidence of their crime. The deed refers to the murder of Duncan, and she reassures Macbeth that water will cleanse them of the bloodstains. Lady Macbeth displays a naive belief that the act of washing hands can absolve them, not just physically, but morally and psychologically. This demonstrates her initial lack of foresight into the mental and emotional consequence of the murder. Lady Macbeth underestimates the emotional toll of their crime. She tries to rationalise the murder and dismiss its significance, believing that the physical act of washing is sufficient to erase its implication. 2. This contrasts with Macbeth's perspective. While Lady Macbeth is composed and pragmatic here, Macbeth immediately feels the weight of their actions, showing how differently the two characters process guilt. 3. This contrasts with later in the play, and this quote foreshadows her own psychological breakdown. Later, in Act 5, Lady Macbeth obsessively tries to wash imagined blood from her hands, crying, "Out damn spot." This reflects her guilt and recognition that a simple act of washing cannot cleanse the deeper moral stain. Water symbolises cleansing and purification in many cultures. Lady Macbeth's statement reflects her belief in the restorative power of water to make them appear innocent. The symbolism is ironic because no amount of water can wash away the psychological burden of guilt. Macbeth echoes this sentiment when he later says, "Will all great Neptune's ocean wash this blood clean from my hand?" 5. Lady Macbeth's dominance in their relationship is evident in this scene. By taking charge and instructing Macbeth on how to cope with the aftermath, she subverts traditional gender roles of passivity and submission expected of women in Shakespeare's time. However, her confidence later crumbles, showing the limits of her control. 6. This quote foreshadows the tragic unravelling of both Macbeth and Lady Macbeth due to their guilt. Her later descent into madness highlights the futility of her initial reassurance. 7. This statement highlights the broader theme of moral responsibility in Macbeth. The play repeatedly asks whether external actions can truly be separated from internal consequences. Lady Macbeth's line suggests an attempt to avoid responsibility for their crime by externalising it, a view that is ultimately disproven. 8. In Shakespeare's time, acts of murder, especially regicide, were seen as profoundly immoral and often associated with divine punishment. Lady Macbeth's dismissal of their guilt conflicts with the religious and moral expectations of the time, emphasising her hubris. Remember, the more you say about one quote, the higher your marks go. Try to learn all 8 of these. Pause the video now, put these ideas into your own words and add them to your original notes. Like I said earlier, using a different colour pen will make it clear to you what you still need to work on and memorise. Now let's compare that presentation of Lady Macbeth to "Out damn spot, what will these hands never be clean?" from Act 5, Scene 1. This is said by Lady Macbeth. While she can see blood upon her hands, which isn't physically there, she's repeatedly washing her hands for long periods of time in an attempt to cleanse herself. Number 1. Lady Macbeth is imagining that her hands are still stained with Duncan's blood, despite there being no physical evidence of it. she obsessively tries to clean her hands, symbolising her deep psychological guilt. The audience, knowing there is no physical Spot, understands that the torment is entirely in her mind, making her breakdown more poignant. Her breakdown demonstrates the psychological cost of her ambition, adding depth to her character and challenging stereotypes of women as inherently weaker or passive. It also highlights the fragility of the human psyche when confronted with overwhelming guilt and moral conflict. The line underscores one of the central themes of Macbeth, the idea that certain actions have permanent consequences that cannot be undone. Number 2. The act of trying to clean her hands reflects her subconscious attempt to absolve herself, but she recognises that no physical act can cleanse her moral guilt. External cleansing cannot cleanse her internally, unlike earlier in the play when she claimed, "A little water clears us of this deed." She now realises that a stain of guilt is permanent and cannot be erased. Number 3. The spot represents the blood she believes is still on her hand. Blood, a recurring symbol in Macbeth, signifies guilt and the moral stain of their crimes. The imagined spot reveals Lady Macbeth's descent into madness as her suppressed guilt over the murders resurfaces. It shows how her initial confidence has crumbled under the weight of her conscience. In Shakespeare's time, a spot can be interpreted as a symbol of sin, and Lady Macbeth's inability to remove it reflects her fear of external damnation. This biblical allusion resonates with the idea of divine punishment and the concept of an indelible mark for sins, such as Cain's mark from the murder of Abel in the Bible. Number 5. Throughout Macbeth, hands symbolise human agency and responsibility. Lady Macbeth's hands, which she once used to smear Duncan's blood on the guards, now become a focus of her guilt. The inability to clean her hands signifies that her moral corruption cannot be undone, highlighting the irreversible consequences of their actions. Number 6. This suggests a subversion of traditional femininity. Earlier in the play, Lady Macbeth rejects traditional feminine qualities, asking to be unsexed, to carry out her ambition. However, this line shows her ultimate vulnerability and inability to suppress her emotion and moral nature. Lady Macbeth, who once appeared stronger and more composed than Macbeth, is now consumed by the very guilt she initially dismissed, while Macbeth has become numb to it. Number 7. Her words foreshadow her eventual suicide, as she's unable to live with the guilt and the damned spot that haunts her. Pause the video now. You should put these ideas into your own words and add them to your original notes. Like I said earlier, using a different colour pen will make it clearer what you still need to work on to memorise.